Hello, welcome back for another chess game. It looks like we're going to get an English here. Um, I'm going to try and counter with Dutch. Okay, so opponent has nice control over the light squares. Bishop, a knight, and two pawns. Kind of owns those central light squares. So I'm going to counter with the dark square control. Normally, let's see, I'm playing for this e4 push. I'm not worried about him taking there. I'll take back with the bishop, maybe. So I need to block this bishop's attack here, so I'm not leaving this pawn hanging. And get castled. Castling here, or queen b3. Tying up my king and the b7 pawn. And I think I'm going to go ahead and push e4 now. e5. To shore up those squares. f4 and d4. So he pushes f4. And we're going to get some excitement here, I think. Some fireworks on the king side. Um, I am anticipating queen b3 at some point. If I bring the bishop out now, he could take, and I waste tempo. Not the end of the world. I might also like to reposition my knight to take back on f5 with my knight. And that frees my c pawn to advance. Is really my primary objective there. I'd love my queen to get out here. But I'm okay with the queen coming over here as well. I mean, this is where all the action is, so. What do I do? I'd like to take back. I like the option of taking back with the knight here, but I would probably take back with the pawn. So moving the knight, don't think really hampers me that much. Pretty tempted to put my bishop on this diagonal. It does invite him to trade on f5. I take back with the bishop. But that looks okay for me as well. I'm eyeing up the d3 pawn. Maybe he pushes d3, d4. I'm gonna come here. I've got rook b8. If he goes queen b3, I don't think he wants to go queen b3 anymore with my bishop there anyway. So he keeps my knight out of here. I might go knight to h5, pressure this, but he already has the knight there protecting it. He'd also have a move like g4. So what if I make trades and I trade off f pawn for e pawn, pawn takes maybe, or maybe knight takes. Probably pawn takes. See that that really gains me anything. I don't want to take the f4 pawn either. If I move the knight now, he could take and threaten this b pawn. So I am tempted just to move the rook behind the b pawn. Gets this off the danger of the bishop, protects the b pawn. I mean, it's not the most useful square for the rook, but um, it's a square. And here, tempted to, this was my idea, was just to move the knight and lift this pawn. So I don't see what prevents me from doing that now. And bring his other knight in here. But then I might have knight to h5. Oh, he's eyeing up this. Okay. Well, we're just going to create some light square weaknesses, I think, and go b6, b6. Nothing has been traded yet. 12 moves in, and there have been no trades. It's a lot of maneuvering and a lot of congestion. He moves the knight away. I think I will go No, I don't. I don't want to go there because he can just push g4. Well, my plan was to lift this pawn anyway. So why not just push c6? It's protected by the knight. But knight takes, queen takes, pawn takes, bishop takes pawn. So now the pawn is hanging. If I push c6, now he wants to go knight takes e, d takes e, and bishop h6 maybe at some point, maybe after bringing a rook over. Tempted to take this knight off. What's my plan? Well, let's look at our pieces. What's the worst piece we've got? This rook isn't doing a lot here. There's a lot of congestion in the center. So the bishops are well placed, but they're just not a whole lot of activity for them. So much congestion makes the knights the best pieces. So I don't really want to trade off my knights because they're going to be very valuable, I think. But with so much tension, this board could open up any second. And there could be fireworks. I think I want to take this knight. I think if knight takes, pawn takes, bishop back, he's got an open c file to work with. I don't know about that either. Down to 6 minutes, so I need to think a little bit more quickly. What about opening this? Open this, and then maybe think about queen to b or queen to d7, eyeing this. And push. We can counter. If we do queen d7 now, he goes pawn takes, pawn takes. There's so much going on here. This is a lot. A lot of tension. Down to 5 minutes and 20 seconds. So the rest of this game is going to be played quickly. and I need time to calculate it. So I need to look at some exchanges that simplify this position because of the time pressure. I'm not going to be able to calculate everything. So he protects this. And I think now's the time. We're going to open up. We're going to make some trades in the center. He takes with the pawn. And that creates, does he get to push? No. Takes, takes, takes. He'd have to push here first, and then I would get to take there. So there's no trade-off for this anymore, and now I can here force him to do something with that knight. Although once I leave the battery here, he is going to get to pick up this pawn maybe. Because takes, takes, f5, g takes f. E takes f. Oh, the bishop can drop back. Okay, the bishop can draw back to protect this pawn. But I've got a backwards pawn on this d file as well that I need to worry about. Maybe. Yeah, I might have created a bad weakness for myself here on this d pawn. So if knight takes, queen takes. Oh, this pawn's hanging. Okay. This pawn's hanging. Yay. I had a little bit of grace. So can I push here? Hangs this pawn. Push here. Takes. Let's bring the rook over opposite the queen. Apologies, my cat was into something. Okay. And is still into something. Retreat the bishop. Kitty. Makes sense, strengthening that. F5 point. Well, now can I push here since this isn't under attack anymore? Takes, 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 takes. Ooh, this might be a strong move, pinning that knight. Because my threat is kind of to go knight takes e4, attacking the queen. I don't think he wants to give up the light square bishop for this knight. Then I kick it, maybe. Bishop takes the pawn, I sack a pawn. And then I go knight here. I'm sacking this pawn. Oh, he attacks it with the pawn. If I move the knight, he forks the bishop in the... Okay. So he's going to fork my pieces. But I get an attack on the queen. So now I can take the pawn if he saves the queen. If he forks to attack, I attack the queen. He takes my queen. I take with check. He blocks with a rook, maybe. I take again, and then I save my other rook. I think he might have made an error here. I don't know exactly where, but I think he had a better shot not taking that knight. If he just moved the queen somewhere, he's threatening to fork my pieces. But then I do take with the bishop. So maybe he chose correctly. I don't know. But we've traded bishop for knight. If he forks now, I take the queen. He takes my queen. I take the knight with check and win a piece. So he's got to protect his queen. Although if he forks, he takes my rook. He gets a rook. I save my queen. Oh, and that threatens bad things over here. Okay. Just making sure he couldn't get like a bishop and a rook for queen. I kind of feel like my position's better now. To think about that too much. So I've got the bishop pair. He's got a knight and a bishop. He's got 5 pawns, and I've got 7. I'm up 2 pawns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got 2 pawns. think I can come up here and attack this bishop now. He takes, I take. He takes the pawn, I take the knight. He protects the bishop. I stack rooks, maybe. He takes bishop, I take bishop, he takes pawn. Suddenly his king feels a little bit more exposed than mine. He's got dark square or light square pawns, so there's no attack on my weak king yet. He protects with this rook. Maybe queen here. Takes with the knight. I take with the queen. Oh, he just moves. Okay. Just moves. Well, now I'd stack my pieces. A lot of power on the D file. Reposition my bishop, maybe. A two-pawn advantage, double isolated pawns on the E file, and they're blockaded. I need to find a way to break that blockade. He does not want to take my pawn and allow me access to the H file. So he can move it forward. I'm going to attack the rook. He lifts the rook. I attack the other rook. Moves it. For instance, that would lose the rook. So maybe he doesn't. Maybe he moves it here to back up the queen. And then I come here to threaten the bishop. And if he takes, I take back. I didn't think he wanted to do that. I just lets my queen in over here. He sidesteps with the king, but I get in on the light squares. He keeps running, and that just really spells danger. Maybe he thought I was going to take back with the bishop, but taking with this. Okay, he swings his queen around. Now if I go here and he backs up with his king, I'm tempted to check. He backs up, but then what? Let's get our bishop into play real quick before we keep taking seconds off. Bishop back here. Maybe we check first and then bring the bishop back here. And if bishop takes, we've got this. Oh, no, we don't, because the king is going to move back here. But we can take now. We just take the bishop, and then we're threatening a skewer. Good game. I'm up 7.0 on the eval bar at the end of this game. Quite proud of my play there. 30 move game in the Anglo Dutch. Let's take a look at the game review. Good accuracy. I played this with 83.8 with a brilliancy. No blunders in the game. A couple misses by me, one by my opponent. Some inaccuracies. But I got the edge late in the game and held on to it pretty strong. I felt good in the later stages of that game once pieces started coming off. This is all book. This is all book. Okay, we're off a book now on move 8. Move 9. First move out of book. It's a mistake. Didn't really feel like that was necessary. I'm sure it's going to want us to trade and do something in the center. And this was a miss. moving the rook. I didn't really know what else to do. I'm guessing I should probably take one of these directions to open up. My best move, yep. F takes E is best. But that's a messy and complicated position. He brought his knight in, and I back my knight up. Okay. White has a 0.6 edge here. This was a great move. That was the best move. Knight takes was a mistake, an inaccuracy. Gives white a 0.7 edge. Absolute inaccuracy. So what is better? Bishop or pawn takes, opening up the attack on the queen immediately. And then I've got, I've got this pawn, so I could go up a pawn in material, but white has the advantage still. That's a miss. He should have forked my pieces, which I thought was the better idea. Well, with here, I have to take with the knight, and he takes. So, yeah, that's messy. And this was a miss. Does it want me to take with the pawn? It does want me to take with the pawn. That's a nice little pawn cluster. It is going to support pushing those forward, open up this line of attack for the bishop, hang this pawn once this pawn moves forward. So he would probably go ahead and push that. But I like this. This is a nice pawn mess. And this was an inaccuracy. Wants me to advance the pawn. Maybe just for a nice little hidey hole for my king. If he takes en passant, then what? Bishop takes, queen h5, threatening here and the bishop. So I get my piece back. Okay. I'm up 2.7 on material here. It didn't want me to stack rooks. It says I have a larger advantage available. Oh, that's white's best move. I don't want white's best move. I want black's best move. Bring the bishop up. I looked at this move, but I dismissed it because it hangs the pawn. And what am I missing? If knight takes pawn, then what? Maybe rook here, rook f3. Sandwiching this bishop, and if the bishop moves, I've got the king coming in, or the rook's coming in to attack the king. Like this move. Like that move. And that was brilliant. That was my brilliancy. to end the game on a brilliancy. Opponent resigns. That was fun. He obviously cannot take because I am going to skewer his queen. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for coming by to enjoy some chess. Come back and watch some more videos with me.